Matheou from the Boycott Turkey campaign UK. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Our main topic today is the Turkey's latest invasion attacks to Kurdistan. What do you believe to be Turkey's real objectives in launching this operation at this time?
So Turkey's objectives in launching the operation at this time are to make use of the geopolitical opportunity provided by the Russian state's invasion of Ukraine in order to complete a longer-term plan, which we've seen in place really since 2006, 2007, when there was the first invasion into Bashur Kurdistan or northern Iraq, South Kurdistan, to isolate the free mountains, the Medya defense zones, and to allow then a colonization through the military occupation of the key border regions and the economic occupation of the Kurdistan regional government of the whole of South Kurdistan, a colonization of South Kurdistan and of even the non-majority Kurdish regions of northern Iraq.
Thank you. As you know, Turkey doesn't help these invasion attacks on its own. Turkey has friends, which has been underlined by the Turkish Defense Ministry as well. He has claimed that Turkey's present offensive against the Kurds is being carried out in coordination with the country's friends and allies. Who are these friends and allies in particular?
So the main friend and ally are the Barzani clan and what I would call their political front, because it's not a real political movement at this point, the Kurdistan Democratic Party, the KDP. And more and more now, although nowhere near to the same extent, the PUK is also providing some support, but especially it's the KDP. The KDP are the economic clients of the Turkish state. They depend very heavily on the support of the Turkish state. They already showed their willingness in the early 90s to fight on behalf of the Turkish state against their fellow Kurds. And that's what we see today. So it's a continuation of a long tradition within the Barzani clan to support the Turkish state's policies in order to attempt to get rid of what they see as just as a rival. They don't even understand that what the Kurdistan Freedom Movement represents is not simply some kind of political rivalry similar to the Talabani and the PUK, but an entire alternative political system. And in this, they take the same role as unfortunately has been played by many Kurdish elites over the last century and more, or even going back to the Ahmadiyya regiments at the end of the Ottoman Empire, who supported the Ottoman state's genocides against Armenians, Syrians, Greeks, and other Christians of the region. The KDP is very happy to play that role continuing today.
What do you think will be the impact of Turkey's military operation destabilizing the region? What regional forces will gain from it?
So one impact we've already seen is the Iraqi army's violent assault on Sinjar, on Shengal, on the genocide survivors who were defended by the Kurdistan Freedom Movement, and especially by the guerrilla, PKK, HPG, YJSR guerrilla, defended them against Daesh's genocide, helped them to organize themselves, and then withdrew in 2018. And it's important to say that those forces now in Shengal, which are officially part of the Popular Mobilization Forces in Iraq, they are self-run, self-organized by the Yazidi. They might be inspired by the political philosophy of Abdullah Öcalan, but they are not part of the PKK. They are similar in that regard to the forces in north and east Syria, yet again the EPG. Now, the agreement, the Sinjar agreement, which was put in place without the consultation of the Yazidis, was never fully enforced by the Iraqi army, and you could see some unwillingness there. Also, political alliances between the Yazidi and some of the other popular mobilization forces meant that they were unwilling to do this. But now their hand has been forced by Turkey. In terms of a broader destabilization, what it will give is a full Turkish supremacy in the north of Iraq. And of course, that upsets the balance of power between the different regions, and it creates more and more displacement. For example, of Assyrians in the villages bordering to Iraq, bordering between Iraq and Turkey. So the potential ramifications are really quite dire.
What does the silence and refusal to criticize say about the international community and its responsibilities? Very shortly.
So, I mean, we are witnessing once again the sheer hypocrisy of the so-called international community, which at least many of the nation states has mobilized to support Ukraine in their defense and the Ukrainian people in their defense against the Russian state's imperialist aggression, but which cannot and will not provide the same for the Kurdish people and the other peoples of the region against Turkish state aggression. And I think we need to remember here that the strategies and the approaches of the Turkish and the Russian states are identical. They both claim that these are not invasions, these are peace operations or military operations to demilitarize a terrorist threat, a claimed terrorist threat. In the Russian case, they claim that these are Nazis, that the denazification of Ukraine, in the same way as the Turkish state sees these as terrorists. And then they occupy certain areas, build military posts, and begin a process of colonization that they refuse to name as such. So it's identical, and yet the double vision is clear, and the results of those double vision, the results of that double vision, and the way that it ties, especially the Western powers, in knots, are abundantly clear at the moment with the way that Turkey is using its position in NATO to further its aims to eradicate any political self-organization or representation for Kurdish people.
You underlined the Turkey's and NATO relations as well. The NATO is still keeping silence about all Turkey's war crimes, and even for the chemical weapons allegations, still the OPCW is not taking any action to do the researches that needs to be done in the region according to chemical weapons allegation. Very shortly, how would you going to comment on the EU's and EU commissions, as well as the OPCW and NATO's silence against Turkey? Very shortly, please.
So, in short, they're all hypocritical. There's nothing else for it. The speed with which Russian war crimes are being identified and investigated, rightly, is very telling here. Where there is a will, there is a way. And what that shows is that there is no will on the part of any of the organizations that you named, to play any constructive role. They only seek to instrumentalize the Turkish state in their geopolitical games. And what that does is give the Turkish state total free rein to commit these war crimes again and again. We saw this in 2019 in the invasion of north and east Syria. We saw it in support of the Azerbaijani state's unprovoked attack on Nagorno-Karabakh or Artsakh in 2020, and we see it again now in northern Iraq. And we saw it last year as well in Bashur in the Medya defense zones. So it's a sheer hypocrisy, and especially NATO is now reaping what it has sown in the leverage that the Turkish state has over the other members of the alliance in the proposed accession of Sweden and Finland to the organization.
Dear Nik Matheou from the Boycott Turkey campaign, thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.